Hey, Tony Chips here, Chiappetta Shoes. This is a workshop live. Today we're talking about a D16 foot type, pretty flat, flexible foot, and has been using an orthotic for about 2 months now. Sometime in March, these were picked up. Overall, the body's feeling better, but a D16 foot type has a fair amount of pronation. It's kind of the healthiest flat feet out there. On our system, quadruped foot typing system, D16, F20, F24, those are the three main flat feet. Now, a D16 foot type has a fair amount of pronation, a little bit of abduction, small forefoot varus alignment, and usually about a medium rear foot valgus alignment. And with this foot, she's worn the orthotics for about a month and a half now. We've tried one modification, which I'll talk about in a sec. With the orthotic, she feels like, this is the right side here, she feels like there's too much medial arch support, and she feels like she's supinating too much. She also feels like she's abducting a little bit. So one of my associates, one of my apprentices, tried to help with that supination. And she put on what we would consider a cuboid bar. Now that's a same cork as on the bottom. It's a 55 durometer multi-cork. This is a 3 millimeter piece. Now if you look at it placement-wise, where that's sitting, it's hitting on the 5th metatarsal base. It should be notched right where the cuboid bone sits. So the first thing I noticed was that this was a little too far forward in the placement of the cuboid bar. It should be really hugging the end of the heel and up into that cuboid area. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna shift that down a little bit. We're actually gonna use a 65 durometer J cork from JMS Plastics, really nice stuff, a little bit firmer. We wanna push it up. Durometers matter. Now, the other thing is, the foot is supinating. When we have flatter feet friends, we want to help offer the right amount of contour underneath here. But even what we consider the most neutral amount can make people feel like we're tilting to the outside. Now, one little note, this customer had a triple arthrodesis on the right foot. Structurally speaking, the rear foot looks a little bit more stable compared to the left. The left feels like there's too much arch contour, like it's being over-supinated and abducted more than the right, but they're similar between the two. So I'm gonna take you over to the grinder. We're gonna remove this current cuboid bar, which is in the wrong spot, and we're gonna move that back. We're also, because the foot feels like it's pronating too much, we're gonna remove some of this cork. Now, we'll explain that to you in a sec. Let's take it over to the grinder. One note, I want you to look at this, okay? So when we not want to remove some of the arch shape, we're actually gonna keep the shape. We're not changing the actual contour. What we're doing is from the bottom, we're removing the firm material, particularly the cork. That's the filler, that's the thickest part. And we're gonna replace it with a 35 durometer EVA, same as what's on the top. We're gonna use a 6 millimeter 35 durometer EVA, and we're gonna fill in that arch area. Structurally speaking, we're still giving that person the same arch contour, but what we're doing is we're making it much softer in that area so the body weight can compress it. Smoothness and how you do that is really important when you compare, this is existing, this is what's with the modification. We're gonna taper that in about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch, smooth out the back here, make sure it's all good, and then we're gonna add the EVA. So we're gonna take you over to the grinder one more time. All right, take your top down. Okay, so custom orthotics, left, right. We scooped it in. You see how it's kind of skived in right here? The cuboid bar was too far forward, so we're going to move that back. We're going to do 3mm, 65 durometer J cork. Big fan of this stuff. Works great for modifications. Also works great for the core support pieces. It's firm. It's still cork. It's a cork and nylon combination. Big fan of this material here. All right. With that, getting that in the right spot, yeah, I mean, that's where it was at before. It was hitting that 5th metatarsal base. Not ideal. She didn't complain of pressurization in that area, so that's a good thing. And, you know, placement matters a lot, guys. So, okay, before we were kind of like here to the side. We should have been right about there, okay? So we're gonna wrap that up around. And I typically like to go at a little bit of an angle, kind of follow where the heel bone is, if you can see that right there. Now, just to get everything relatively uniform, I'll typically match things up pretty nicely like that. Okay. So, beautiful. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we have almost like an anti-scaphoid pad. We're taking out the cork. We're gonna fill it in with an EVA. I could just take it out, but a lot of times when we do that, structurally, we're losing too much of the insert to just let the customer go about her day. We want to always think about longevity first. Well, comfort first. Longevity is a close second. You know, if I make an orthotic that I'm charging $500 for, and it's going to last 6 months, I am not doing my job, and that's not how you run a business. Okay. So what we're doing is we're filling this area in with a much softer material. So that's going to be that side. I'm going to copy that for the other side. Get this glued up. We'll have a recap and get you guys rolling for today. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do flat feet have such a hard time with arch contour? And it's always something that we battle. Everybody's body is different. So when we look at the mechanics of feet, the beauty of what we do is that I can never say I've seen everything. Everybody's body's different. And sometimes real flat feet like a ton of extra correction. Sometimes they can't handle it. And we get a pressurization sensation. I don't know if you ever had a tooth filling, but if the dentist leaves it too thick, every bite you take feels like an irritating pressurization. And that's not a good thing, because that'll drive you nuts really quick. I've had that happen before. Still love my dentist. Anyways, with this kind of situation, keeping the contour from what we originally took as an impression method is still very, 95% of the time, the right method. When we do an impression, we do a semi-weight-bearing impression. And that process is done where the customer is sitting in a chair, they don't push down, we guide the foot in. It's nuanced in that most feet get a straight neutral impression, but sometimes D12, 16, F20, and F24 feet will get modified where we'll rotate their knee out a little bit, and that artificially raises the arch up. That's a compensation method done in the impression process. Now, we don't do that for everybody, but it depends how much pronation and deterioration of the post-tibia tendon there has been. So with this, we're going to let the glue set for a minute or two. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. Thank you. All right, fam, we are back. We have a D16 foot type. Arch feels like it's being supinated too much. Custom orthotic's been going on for 2 months. We had a a cuboid bar. It was too far forward. We're moving that back, a little bit better material. We are doing an anti-scaphoid pad, removing the cork from underneath. Same contour as on top, still giving that customer that same shape that we need, but we're softening that medial arch area up. We're removing the cork. We are filling that in with a 35 durometer EVA, 6 millimeter, that is going to keep the insert stable. We don't want the insert to kind of be shifting around and moving inside of the shoe. If we just cut this out and said, good luck with the customer, not the best case scenario. We like to do things right here at Chiappetta Shoes. So we're gonna take it top down. We have our 3 millimeter J-Cork 65 durometer cork nylon combination here. We're shifting the cuboid bar back. The piece that was there before was too far forward. So we want to make sure that we get that in the right spot. It's very important to get that set up properly, especially with the outside of the foot. A lot of pressure goes on the outside, even for flatter feet. And you want to make sure you get a cuboid bar located in the right spot, right there. I like to do it at an angle, hugging the heel bone, wrapping up against the side. Beautiful. Got this material here. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Now, next thing, 35 durometer EVA, closed cell foam, softens up really nicely with heat. Conforms nicely around rounded edges, hard edges, all kinds of edges. This material here works great for lots of different reasons. Sometimes we use it as a whole base if we want to make a very soft orthotic. 35 durometer EVA for a whole base layer where the cork is at it's one of our softer settings. Do that occasionally for real sensitive feet. You look at this and, you know, we have cork in the rest of it, kind of cupping the heel area. We have it tapered really nicely if you look at, you know, where that is. There shouldn't be any hard edges, making sure you're doing this in a very natural state. I always like to tell my apprentices, when we do modifications, they should look natural and beautiful at the same time. This is a little bit of art and it's a little bit of science. And, you know, we've got a little Chippers art class going on here. Chippers art class. Just happen to deal with feet all day long. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna take this, hit it with the mallet once or twice. Take you over to the grinder. Yeah?
One prone when I did that, and it's no movement, a lot of movement, and she walks on, steps down. When I get that foot all good, then the other one starts to go in from it. I think I got it good. Like when they are overgrown.
How old? Okay. Is this the one?
Yeah. I have an addiction, and that's the best I can find with your eyes.
I'll take a look.
Okay.
Yep.
Just tell me that after you
Yeah.
say something there about it.
Okay.
Was like driving by, trying to stop it, wondering if you're available.
Yeah. No, I'll
Come back here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, D16 foot type, anti-scaphoid modification. We are taking that bad boy down. We're removing the cork on the medial side of things. We're filling it in with a 35 diameter EVA. No additional contour or shape, same shape as before, softening that medial column up so that it should let the foot pronate a little bit more naturally. Over support can cause issues too. Replace the cuboid bar in the right spot. That's a wrap. Tony Chiappetta, Chiappetta Shoes has been Workshop Live. Thank you for tuning in. Ain't no better than Chiappetta. Ciao.